In one of the most controversial moves against a U.S. government-funded media outlet in decades, the Trump administration has announced plans to terminate nearly 500 employees of the Voice of America. Founded during World War II to combat Nazi propaganda, VOA has since grown into one of the world's largest international broadcasters. But today, its future is in turmoil. The decision, the administration argues, is about cutting radical influence and reducing federal bureaucracy. Critics, however, call it an attack on press freedom and America's global credibility. With lawsuits, court battles, and political clashes surrounding the broadcaster, this moment may redefine how the U.S. uses or abandons its soft power in the information age. So, why is Trump targeting the Voice of America? What does it mean for global journalism? And how could this reshape America's role on the world stage? Let's break it down. Chapter 1. What is the Voice of America? The Voice of America, VOA, was born in 1942 during the height of World War II. Its mission was simple but profound: counter Nazi propaganda by delivering truth to people living under authoritarian regimes. The first broadcast began in German with the promise, "The news may be good. The news may be bad. We shall tell you the truth." Over time, VOA expanded dramatically. Today, it broadcasts in more than 40 languages, reaching an estimated 326 million people weekly. It is not just a media outlet, it is one of America's primary tools of soft power, designed to showcase democratic values, free press, and balanced reporting to audiences around the world. Unlike private U.S. networks, VOA is funded by Congress through the U.S. Agency for Global Media, USAGM, and by law, it is required to operate independently, free from political interference. This firewall is critical to its credibility abroad. If it were seen as a government propaganda arm, its influence would collapse. Chapter 2. Trump's War on VOA. From early in his presidency, Donald Trump made clear he distrusted VOA. The White House accused the outlet of being anti-Trump, radical, and even spreading what it called Chinese propaganda during the COVID-19 pandemic. Trump appointees, including Kari Lake, acting CEO of the Agency for Global Media, began reshaping the leadership of VOA. Directors were fired, oversight boards dissolved, and editorial independence questioned. For Trump, VOA represented bureaucracy gone rogue, a taxpayer-funded institution that, in his view, no longer served American interests. Instead of promoting patriotism and strength, he argued, VOA gave voice to his critics and undermined his administration abroad. Thus began a campaign to strip VOA down to its bones. Chapter 3. The Mass Firings. The latest announcement is the most drastic step yet. According to court filings, the administration plans to terminate 532 positions across USAGM, with the vast majority coming from VOA itself. After the cuts, VOA would be left with just 108 staff members, a shell of its former self. Kari Lake defended the decision, saying it would reduce the federal bureaucracy, improve agency service, and save the American people their hard-earned money. But employees and unions strongly disagreed. The union representing VOA staff called the move illegal, arguing that the administration bypassed required congressional reviews and ignored labor protections. To them, this wasn't streamlining government. It was dismantling a historic institution. Chapter 4. Legal Battles and Resistance. Almost immediately, employees took the administration to court. Lawsuits accused Trump's appointees of violating procedures, illegally firing directors, and undermining congressional safeguards. A federal judge recently ruled that the administration failed to follow proper procedures in its attempt to fire VOA Director Michael Abramowitz, forcing Kari Lake herself to sit for a deposition. Employees say they hope this legal process will expose what they call a politically motivated purge. In a joint statement, staffers said, "We find Lake's continued attacks on our agency abhorrent. We will continue to fight for what we believe to be our rights under the law. For now, most VOA journalists remain on administrative leave. Some Farsi-speaking reporters were called back to cover breaking developments during the war between Israel and Iran, but the majority have been sidelined. Chapter 5. Why VOA matters globally. To understand the stakes, it's important to grasp VOA's role. Unlike CNN or the New York Times, VOA is often the only reliable international news source available in countries with censored or state-controlled media. In nations like Iran, Cuba, North Korea, and Afghanistan, millions rely on VOA broadcasts for uncensored information. By slashing its workforce, the U.S. risks silencing these channels, effectively ceding ground to authoritarian propaganda from Russia, China, and Iran. Critics argue that Trump's move doesn't just hurt journalists, it weakens America's strategic influence. In the modern era, wars are not only fought with bombs, but with narratives. By crippling VOA, the U.S. could be abandoning one of its most effective non-military weapons. Chapter 6. Trump's rationale. Why go after VOA so aggressively? For Trump, the fight was partly ideological. He viewed many journalists, domestic and foreign, as adversaries. VOA, despite being government-funded, was no exception. During his presidency, he often accused VOA of favoring globalist perspectives, highlighting stories that painted America in a negative light, or amplifying voices critical of his administration. To Trump, this wasn't journalism, it was sabotage, paid for by American taxpayers. By cutting staff and reshaping leadership, Trump aimed to bend VOA closer to his America First vision. His supporters framed it as eliminating waste and bias. His critics saw it as censorship. Chapter 7. The Critics Speak. Journalism groups, press freedom advocates, and members of Congress quickly condemned the move. They argued that firing 500 journalists not only undermines media freedom, but also violates America's moral commitment to promoting democracy abroad. Some lawmakers warned that authoritarian regimes would celebrate the decision, as it weakened one of the few international voices countering their propaganda. One analyst told CBS News, "When America muzzles its own journalists, it signals to dictators worldwide that press freedom is negotiable." This broader concern about the U.S. turning inward and abandoning global responsibilities has haunted the debate around Trump's foreign policy. Chapter 8. Historical Context. This isn't the first time VOA has faced criticism. During the Cold War, it was accused of serving as a propaganda arm against the Soviet Union. But even then, it operated under strict guidelines designed to separate fact from spin. What makes today different is the scale of the cuts. Never before has an administration moved to eliminate such a large percentage of VOA's workforce. It is not reform, it is demolition. To historians, this represents a fundamental break with America's post-World War II strategy of information diplomacy. For nearly 80 years, successive administrations, Republican and Democrat alike, have preserved VOA as a bipartisan tool. Trump's attempt to dismantle it is unprecedented. Chapter 9. The Human Cost. Behind the numbers, 532 jobs, 108 staff left, are real journalists whose careers and missions hang in the balance. Many have spent decades reporting from conflict zones, risking their lives to deliver stories from authoritarian countries. Now they face sudden unemployment, administrative limbo, and accusations of being radical. For immigrant reporters, some of whom fled oppressive regimes to join VOA, the irony is bitter. They escaped censorship abroad, only to face political interference in America. Their lawsuits are not just about saving jobs. They are about defending the principle that journalism, especially government-funded journalism, must remain independent. Chapter 10. What happens next? The battle over VOA is far from over. Courts will continue to review whether the Trump administration followed proper procedures. Congress may intervene, especially since VOA funding depends on legislative approval. Internationally, allies and adversaries alike are watching. If VOA collapses, U.S. credibility as a defender of free press and democracy could be severely damaged. If it survives, it may emerge as a stronger, more resilient institution, though deeply scarred by the political storm. Either way, the decision to fire most of VOA's journalists is a turning point. It raises fundamental questions about the role of government and media, the limits of presidential power, and the future of America's global influence. The Trump administration's move to fire nearly 500 Voice of America journalists is more than a staffing decision. It is a test of values. Will the United States continue to champion press freedom abroad, or will it silence one of its own most powerful voices? As lawsuits mount, courts intervene, and Congress debates, the fate of VOA remains uncertain. But one thing is clear, this battle is about more than jobs. It's about what America represents to the world. What do you think? Should government-funded media outlets like VOA be reformed, defunded, or protected at all costs? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this breakdown valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dive documentaries into politics, law, and global affairs.